I don't know. She's getting ghostly urges. Yeah.
Well, now that I'm bummed out.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
it was a valid question.
It was a discussion about how me and Hannah are
Shannon. It
both
was the
terrible about getting people their presents on time.
You know what? Whatever.
I mean,
They'll have another kid.
That's why I had yours shipped to your home, because otherwise you never would have gotten it.
Hannah, I literally still have yours from last year, so it's fine.
I mean, last year you didn't get yours for me until June, so, like, it's fine.
We're great at life.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Man.
Well,
Shelby, you want to do the address? Yeah. I'll send it to you while she does the intro.
Thanks. Send it on yours to me, because if it goes on our group chat, I'll never see it again.
I am.
It'll get so lost.
I am. I'm sending it now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, anyway. Hi guys, you're listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive. I'm Shelby.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Shannon.
Oh,
Any announcements from an hour and a half ago?
University of Georgia is losing to the University of Alabama in the SEC championship, and I'm bitter about it, so
I'm sorry.
that's that on that. I know you don't care, but
so sorry for your trouble.
I'm angry about it, okay? Because I hate Alabama with a fiery, burning passion.
I mean, that's fair.
And I had my other announcement, that is not an announcement, is that on my new laptop, I don't have a touch screen, and my old one did. And my old one, the trackpad went out, so I got so used to using the touch screen because I couldn't use the trackpad that now I just, like, keep touching my screen and nothing happens.
You just keep poking your screen.
I just keep poking it, and I'm like, great, now it's just got fingerprints. They're in my way. Yeah.
I'm just happy you have a working laptop.
Me too. It's so
both for
fast.
me and for you.
And
that thing it seems so frustrating.
God, it was the worst. It was so bad. And Yuki has mildly forgiven me. She let me pet her belly for like half a second. So
that's good.
Progress.
Wow, did you have skin after you did that?
Amazingly enough, yes. But I don't expect this attitude of hers to last very long. I'm sure she'll rage at me in like 10 minutes.
I think Maisie misses you guys. She's been very down today.
Oh, poor Maisie May.
Yeah.
We'll be back on Monday.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. Well, I mean, this whole week we've both been homesick, so
Right.
I think she's used to both of us being there.
Right, she like got tired of both of us being there, but now that like we're not both there, she's like, but now what do I do?
She didn't get tired of us. She got
minute.
tired of you taking her couch.
That's true. I broke Maisie because I couldn't like sleep in my chair in the living room that I always sit in. I was laying on the like love seat, but that's Maisie's couch. And so I was laying on that because I wanted to lay down because I was sick, and Maisie was like, excuse you. That's
Maisie
mine.
and Yuki both. It threw them both off balance.
Right, like they both
Like-
couldn't handle it. They were like, that's
Maisie-
not how we sit in the living room. Shannon has the couch,
Yeah.
Maisie has the love seat, Shelby has the chair, and Yuki does whatever Yuki does.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Like, Maisie would just pout. She would just sit there and pout and be so sad.
Right.
And then she'd also just walk around, like, giving you looks over her shoulder like you're still in my chair.
She
But then
kept giving me the side eye.
I know, but then Yuki would just be a little shit, and she kept getting up on the TV stand to try to knock over the little Christmas tree we have.
Yeah, I had to move.
Only when Shelby was in the chair.
Yeah.
Or only whenever she was on the couch.
Yeah, only when I was on the couch. She would sit like on in front of the TV staring at me and then like try and knock over the Christmas tree.
Yeah. Which has sparkly dinosaur ornaments on it.
It does, because we're adults and we can do what we want.
Yes.
Also, they just made me happy. So,
Listen, I decorated
Yeah.
Peppa's cat house with lights.
Look,
Also, we're potty training a bunch of kids right now, and that fucking sucks. That's my announcement. I hate it.
yeah, no, potty training
I'm tired of cleaning up pee.
It's fine
Yeah.
if it's just, like, one kid and it's your kid. I say that as if I have kids. I don't. But, training, like, an entire
Shelby and her
classroom.
brood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Training an entire classroom of children to, like, use the bathroom is the worst. It's just so messy.
My announcement is I try to record without my computer mouse next to me, so otherwise I use it and I click. And I just realized I have my computer mouse next to me and I've been using it, so there's probably a lot of clicking in the last episode that I'm going to have to try to fix.
I mean, I didn't hear anything. That doesn't mean Audacity didn't hear it.
No, Audacity hears it
Yeah.
every single goddamn time. Which is why I don't ever bring my mouse over, but I forgot. So it's fine.
It's
Shelby,
fine.
what we talk about today?
If you want to go to the episode 76 folder, today we are going to be talking about the Bern-Harlow House.
I have no idea what this
Also
is.
possibly called the Harlow Bern House. Also called the Jean Harlow House. There's like 800 million names, but you know.
Great.
That's what we're going to be talking about. Shelby, you can't
Cool.
touch your screen to change slides. Okay.
No, you can't.
Anyway. Hold on. What are my sources? Okay, so my sources are housebeautiful.com and hauntedhouses.com and the ClaremontSun.com. Not the Claremont Sun, ClaremontSun.com. Anyway, doesn't matter.
All right. Cool.
Oh no, where am I going? Bring up your information, Shelby. There we go. Okay.
Oh my god.
So this is a house. It is located at 9820 Easton Drive, in Benedict Canyon, in Beverly Hills. That information is not confidential in any way. You can find it everywhere on the internet, or else I wouldn't have said it.
She's not doxing anyone.
No. Also, do not
Emma
go
and I
visit this
drove-
house because there are normal people who live there now, and they are tired of people showing up to their house. Okay? Anyway.
I have to say,
Emma and I
blatantly
definitely did that
stating
one
their
time.
address.
Yes. Look, like, when we get into it, you will understand why people know their address and why it is, like,
It's fine.
a famous house.
No, it's just funny.
However.
Hannah, what were you trying to say and then we kept interrupting you?
I was gonna say that Emma and I did that once. Have you guys ever watched Hoarders religiously?
I've watched it off and on, but not religiously.
Okay, do you know the episode where that lady lives in a freaking mansion which she has completely packed with shit?
No.
I don't think
It's
I've
like a
seen that
mansion. It's like a castle mansion. It's in Asheville, North Carolina. Anyway, one time
Okay.
Emma and I went out of our way to go find this house because now it's owned by like regular people, and I think that they host like weddings and stuff there, so I didn't feel bad taking a picture in front of it because it is kind of public.
Yeah.
But we went to find that hoarder house because we watch a lot of hoarders. And
I mean, me and
but-
McCall
No, I get it.
went and, like, drove by the Amityville Horror House, which is just a regular house in the middle of, like, a neighborhood on Long Island. But, yeah, like, normal people live there. So we just, like, drove past it. And I think McCall might have taken a picture, like, as we were driving past, like, through the car window. And I'm pretty sure it's blurry and you can't tell what it is, so, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, there's, like, famous houses, and this is semi there. Mostly because it is tied to the Manson murders. So,
Oh.
it is not...
You said
It is...
You said Jean Harlow.
Yes.
And that sounded really familiar.
Yes. This is
but I
not
couldn't remember why.
the house where, like, the murders took place. I will get into it.
No, this isn't.
This is a different house,
no.
but it is, like,
Yeah.
tied to Sharon Tate, basically.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you said Jean Harlow, and I still can't remember why exactly that's familiar, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But yeah, so, like, the address is easy to find, so which is why I don't
Yeah,
feel
I
bad about
understand
saying
now.
it. But
Nope.
also, like,
Yeah.
be a decent
Nope.
human being, and
Yeah, don't bother
don't
people.
bother people. But
Yeah, like, we didn't go to the door and, like,
No.
hey,
Right,
look
like-
at where the hoarder used to live. We were across
Yeah.
the street in a public park and took a picture of it.
right, like,
Yeah,
again, like,
yeah.
even me and McCall, like, we drove by the house and we were like, oh my god, that's the Amityville Horror House. But, like, I'm not gonna stop and, like, knock on the door and be like, oh my god, can I see if your house is
No.
haunted? Like, no.
Well, like, I'm sure they're used to people at least driving by.
Right,
And they
yeah.
knew that was going to be an issue whenever they bought it.
Right, like,
So-
I feel like,
Not that excuses it,
No.
but they at least expect it.
but, like, I'm not bothering the people who live there, and, like, I'm not gonna, like, park
No.
outside your house and, like, take pictures or,
Not
like,
like
peer
in
in the
Hannah's
windows.
neighborhood where they'll call the cops on you for looking at Christmas
Right.
lights.
God.
Wait,
Yeah. Okay, so we haven't even gotten into the fucking topic
No.
yet. So one of Allie's friends, I'll bleep her name out, who she was a cheerleader in high school. Tiny little blonde girl driving a powder blue Bug, in high school, was driving around your neighborhood, like, in general, you know, not like your street, but like your neighborhood. And they were looking at Christmas lights. Someone called the police on them because it was a suspicious vehicle.
Well, I can assume who it was.
I mean,
It may have been your crazy neighbors.
I was
don't know
gonna
what
say,
street
Yeah,
if it was someone
that's
from
who I'm
Hannah Street
implying.
specifically,
Yeah.
we know who it was.
I don't know what street it was,
was-
on.
They-
I could
they-
see that being an option.
They're
Yeah.
fucking crazy. It was definitely them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the cop pulled her over and was like, "What are you doing?"
But
And she was
didn't
like, "We're
someone
looking at
also
Christmas
call the
lights."
cops on a guy who was, like, fishing in the lake because he looked suspicious?
Yeah,
but-
because he was black.
Because he was black, but he
Yeah, because
lives
he was
in the
black.
neighborhood.
Yep, yeah, that also happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's a separate issue.
Okay, so I live in, like, a fancy white people neighborhood, and it's like the people on that Facebook page are the most racist sons of bitches,
They're
idiots. Oh my god,
terrible.
I hate them. My parents hate them. My parents are trying to move to Vermont. I think they're, like, so done with it.
They want to be a
I
little
don't blame
Hallmark
them.
family in Vermont.
I
Making
mean,
maple
I'm
syrup.
I'm like very seriously considering mostly looking for jobs in New England and like Chicago, so like I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because you're
Yeah.
already up there. But like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No, I get it. Anyway,
Ugh.
this house.
Anyway,
The-
this house. Yeah.
I am gonna call it the Bern-Harlow House because that's just what I'm gonna call it. Basically, it has the multiple different names depending on, like, who people want to be, like, the prominent owner of the house, but I'm calling it that because it was owned by Paul Bern and Jean Harlow.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Some people will call it the Jean Harlow House, and I'm like, but it was in Paul Bern's name, so, like,
Yeah.
just because she was more famous than him doesn't mean anything. Anyway,
Yeah.
does not matter. This is a picture of the house. It's very cute. It's in the Bavarian style.
I was
It's
gonna
a
say
very
it
nice
looks right
looking
out of
house.
right out of the German Alps.
Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
super cute. It looks like a little, like,
I would not have
gingerbread.
placed this in Beverly Hills.
Right? Yeah.
Personally.
But yeah, so it was owned by Paul Bern, who was a film director. He owned it in, like, the 1920s and 30s. And then in 1932, he married actress Jean Harlow. And so she moved into the house with him, which
Mhm.
I know it was common at the time, and sometimes it's still common now. I don't like it. She was 21, he was, like, 42.
Blech.
Yeah. So, it's
That triggered a coughing fit. Should not have made that noise. Okay.
Gross.
I vomited right on the floor.
Yep.
But yeah, if you want to go to slide 3, this is Paul Bern and Jean Harlow.
Maybe that's just what it was. I somehow, I don't know, like, a lot about, like, the silent film era. I just know random actresses' names from the...
Well,
from, like, the
she
10s up
was
through
like
the
the
30s.
original blonde bombshell actress.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
her name at least is very famous because of, like, she was one of the first, like, big name actresses in Hollywood. So,
Yeah. I don't even, like, particularly like movies from that era. I think that they're boring because they hadn't figured out, like, the concept of having a B plot yet.
Right.
But it's just all so fucking dramatic and, like, political and ridiculous. So I'm, like, very into, like, early film history. Plus, it's another excuse for me to shit on Edison. So that's part of it, too.
I mean, yeah.
I will find any excuse that I can.
She really will.
So, I literally any excuse.
Shannon.
Oh, man.
Thomas and I were watching these Victorian documentaries on YouTube. His choice, by the way, about, like, Victorian houses and how they can kill you. And we went on a total fuck Edison rant.
Yay!
For, like, 20 minutes. We were just like,
yay!
And Tesla's so great because, and Edison can suck a dick.
Shannon's dream conversation right there.
It literally
you should have been there. I was gonna text you during it, like, you would love this conversation we're having right now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Okay, anyway, continue.
Yeah, okay. So they got married in July of 1932, and then in September of 1932, after being married for just 2 months, Paul was found dead in the home from a gunshot wound to the head. And
that's not good.
Yeah, it was ruled a suicide because he was holding the gun. However, there's lots of things. We'll kind of get into it. So the police, when they got there, they discovered what looked like a suicide note. It read, "Dearest dear, unfortunately, this is the only way to make good the frightful wrong I have done you and wipe out my abject humiliation. I love you, Paul." Basically, as like a little PS, it said, "You understand last night was only a comedy."
Huh?
Yeah. Which I...
Also...
Yeah.
Dearest
when you
dear?
said dearest dear... Yeah!
No, that's what it says.
I'm sorry.
No, I know. No. I know. That's just such an awkward... Like, no one says
yes,
that.
We're
No
used
one
to
says
the
that.
term killing your darlings, or the employment of the use of killing your darlings, and that it's just, like, too many darlings in one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that isn't... People don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's an alien wrote that sentence.
Right. Yeah. So...
Dinner. Good dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, so they found this
yes.
apparent, like, suicide note. It was very odd. But then it, like, how to phrase this? Basically, Jean Harlow claimed that she knew nothing about what was meant in the suicide note. And she never spoke publicly about the death. So, like, we don't really know what her thoughts on it were or anything. But as it came out, basically the night before his death, Paul was visited by his ex-partner. It was basically he had a common law wife that he was, like, separated from.
Okay.
But he still, like, financially supported her. And so she had visited him the night before his death. Her name was Dorothy Millette. If you want to go to slide 4, she is the one in the middle there.
Okay.
And she suffered from mental and emotional problems. That is all I could find on her as far as, like, what she suffered from. So I don't know specifics or anything like that.
That could mean so many things.
Exactly. Like, that could mean so many things, especially in the 20s and 30s. Like, that could mean so much. But it is implied...
She had a uterus. She was hysterical.
Yeah, it is implied that that is why he continued to financially support her, is because she suffered from these quote-unquote problems. And she had ended up in a sanatorium in Connecticut.
Okay.
So, again, I don't know all the details of that. But...
You could have been sent to one of those for
exactly,
anything.
like,
So,
so
who the hell knows?
Yeah. So basically what is known is that she visited him the night before he died. And then 2 days later, after his death, her body was found in the Sacramento River.
Oh.
And it was later determined that she had committed suicide by jumping from a steamboat.
Ooh.
So, that on its own kind of looks suspicious.
Yep, a little bit.
So, yeah. But again, Jean Harlow said, by all accounts that we know, that she has no idea. She didn't even know that they had met the night before. She doesn't know what was in the suicide note, all of that. So,
yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the suicide note was nonsense.
Exactly.
So
people think that last little, like, PS of, like, you understand that last night was just a comedy or whatever is in regards to Dorothy, but we don't know, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so basically in 1960, the investigation into Paul Bern's death was reopened. However, it was soon, shut again because no new evidence came to light.
I have a quick, I forgot. What year did he die? It was in the 30s, right?
Let me go back. 32.
I just want to make sure. 32.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it's weird because he was found with, like, a single gunshot wound to the head, and the revolver was in his hand. But his body was discovered by, like, staff from the house, and instead of calling the police immediately, they contacted the executives at MGM, which is the studio where Paul worked.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, like, literally everything about his death is super weird.
So, that actually does kind of it makes a little bit of sense just because MGM was insane.
Yeah.
They were just so, like, I'm not saying it makes sense necessarily, and I'm sure that there was something in the contract. Like, if he dies, you have to call us first. But, like, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. It just, I understand, especially for it being the 30s, because the police, like, didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
I mean, in a way, I get it, but I also get it.
Well, plus, like, even if he had been killed, they probably wanted to warn MGM and be like, he's already dead. Like, it's not like they could do anything for him at that point.
Yeah, it was probably more to, like, keep it out of the press and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were probably trying to warn him and be like, hey, your executive was just found shot dead. Just so you know, we're going to call the cops.
Yeah, and actually,
I get it.
It was more because, it was ultimately ruled a suicide by the police, although a lot of people, including some of, like, Paul Bern's, like, colleagues in the industry, think that he was actually murdered and that the studio covered it up in order to save Jean Harlow's career because she was such a big name.
Yeah.
And they didn't want it leaking that, like, he had been murdered and have her career, like, go down the drain because of that, which I don't understand why a suicide is slightly better than, like, murder.
I would think they would want to do the opposite. Especially for the time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm not
sensation
excusing.
like that sells.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just odd. Yeah. But again, like,
I'm not saying that they should have called them first. I'm just saying I understand why they called them first.
Yeah. And then basically in 1990, film producer Samuel Marks, he is the guy on the left here. I cannot tell my left from my right. But he was an old friend and colleague of Paul's, and he published a book in 1990 basically giving his own views on the death. So, you know, none of this is proven or fact or anything like that. It's his own speculation and what he thinks happened. But basically, he claimed that on the morning of September 5th, 1932, which is the day that Paul Bern died, before the police had been notified of the discovery of Paul's body, he witnessed Irving Thalberg, who is the guy on the right here. He witnessed him tampering with evidence. So Irving Thalberg was a film producer known at the time as the Boy Wonder for his ability to select scripts and choose actors, blah, 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 doesn't matter. And then the next day, Marks was told by studio executives that the case would be ruled, quote, suicide because of impotence, in order to avoid a scandal that might ruin Jean Harlow's career.
They picked impotence?
Look. I don't know.
Oh no.
So.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Marks went on to claim that Paul was in fact murdered by Dorothy Millette, who then went on to commit suicide. And as to why Thalberg was allegedly tampering with the evidence, no one knows. And he does not know. He doesn't say in his book. He just says that he witnessed him tampering with evidence. So.
And he made this claim in the 90s.
Yeah,
so
exactly. He wrote a book in the 90s and was
and
like,
check.
yeah, this is totally what happened. So, yeah.
Thank you for this helpful information. 60
Right,
years
like,
later.
not helpful. So,
yeah.
whether he committed suicide or was murdered, we don't know. We're never going to know. But that was one of the deaths that happened in this house, probably a pretty big one. And then Jean Harlow, actually, she ended up passing away at the age of 26, so 5 years after this, from kidney failure.
Lord.
Yeah. So, and then the house kind of, I mean, it went through, like, multiple other owners, and from all of the, like, accounts and, like, reports of, like, instances that happened in this house, like, all of them say that, like, someone drowned while swimming in the pool in the back, and then, like, another person died there, but there's, like, no information on those deaths of, like, who it was or what happened or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, someone else died there. Someone drowned in the pool.
Okay.
Moving on. And I'm like,
cool.
Are we going to elaborate on that at all? Or what?
That's all you need to know. Don't worry about it. Thanks. Goodbye.
Yeah, so apparently, like, 2 other people passed away in this house from, like, not natural causes or whatever. So there's that. And then in 1963, the home was purchased by celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring. So if you want to go to slide 5, this is Jay. And by this point, he was already, like, a successful person in Hollywood. And, I mean, he's just, like, a hairstylist to the stars, basically. But between 1964 and 1966, he was in a relationship with actress Sharon Tate.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then basically at one point, like, Sharon moved into the house with him. She lived with him for a while, and it was while she was with him that she met Roman Polanski, who she eventually ended up leaving Sebring for to marry. So, but, which, I don't know, my slides are a little weird here, but slide 6 is going to be Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. But...
Oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Yeah.
Yeah. So, basically, Sharon and Jay remained, like, really close friends to the point that, like, Jay even considered Sharon and Roman Polanski as, like, his family. And so, like, they would still, like, stay over at his house and stuff like that. Which, I don't know, is weird to me to, like, date someone for 2 years and then be like, oh, but you married a different dude that you, like, left me for, but we're still best friends. Which, I don't know. It's a little weird. But to each their own. So, it was, like, a year before the Manson murders, which for those of you who don't know, Sharon Tate was one of the big names in the Manson killing spree that happened. But about a year before that happened, Sharon was actually staying at this house, the Bern-Harlow House, and she was already in her relationship with Roman Polanski. She was already married to him. And then Jay was also not at the house, so she was just staying at this house by herself. I don't know why. And she was like sleeping in the master bedroom, which I don't know. But apparently she like woke up in the middle of the night, and she basically like saw this creepy, what she described as being like a creepy small man, like,
ew,
coming into the room.
Gross.
I don't like that thing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it was very weird. And so she saw this man like come into the room. Apparently after the fact, she says that it looked like Paul Bern. But that's after the fact. So, nah. But yeah, so she sees this figure like come into the room. She gets freaked out. She runs out of the bedroom and towards the stairs. And as she's going down the stairs, she sees a different ghostly figure that is tied to the staircase with their throat slit.
The fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah, and she can't tell whether it is like male or female.
Yeah.
But she sees this figure, their throat is slit. She freaks out again. She keeps going down the stairs. And so she goes downstairs, and because she's freaked out, she decides she needs a drink to like calm her nerves, whatever. She's like, I'm just seeing things. It's the middle of the night. I'm just having a bad dream. Let me get a drink and go back to bed. It'll all be fine in the morning. So she looks around. She cannot find like the bar. And apparently this is like one of the features of the house. But she like got this like overwhelming urge to like basically like touch a certain part on the wall of like a bookcase.
Okay.
And when she touched that, it like slid away and revealed a bar, which apparently is a thing in the house, and it's like one of the only things we know about the house. So she did that. It revealed the bar. She poured herself a drink, and then she got like woozy and like laid down on the ground, and then again got this like super overwhelming urge to like peel back the wallpaper. And
fuck?
You know, when you get that urge.
Right.
Why is she destroying someone else's house? Like,
look,
what's happening?
I don't know. She's getting ghostly urges.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. Hannah, please don't laugh at that.
That's gonna be the cold open.
She's getting ghostly, or
Can we stop for like a second? I need more water.
Yes,
and
because I am running out of information. This is going to be so short.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll be right back. Hang on.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go feed my cat because she's screaming at my door.
Okay, I had to plug in my computer anyway.
Ready, go, run.
Okay. I am back. Did everyone else leave?
Hannah went to go feed Peppa.
Okay. It's good. I gotta eat my popsicle.
Alrighty. You're back
Oh,
as
my
well.
God. So
Cold pizza also fell in my hand. I don't know how it happened.
Okay.
Okay.
I got some more water and I got a popsicle. So hopefully I won't keep dying.
Okay.
But we will see.
We'll see. Do you want me to give you a second to eat your popsicle?
No, I grabbed one of the big ones. You're fine.
Okie dokie.
I'll just edit it later. Fine.
Okay. So, okay.
She was destroying the wallpaper.
Yes, okay. So she got this weird urge to, like, pull back the wallpaper as she's, like, laying on the floor. And so she, like,
This is literally the plot of the yellow wallpaper.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, so she, like, pulls back the wallpaper, and there's, like, a gilded, kind of, like, goldish, like, baseboard.
Okay.
None of this is really all that important, honestly. It was just part of her weird ghostly night. And so she, like, kind of gets over her, like, wooziness. She gets back up. She goes back up the stairs, goes to bed. She wakes up in the morning and she was like, wow, that was a weird, freaky dream I had. What's the last time I drink before going to bed? And then she comes downstairs and basically, like, sees the wallpaper that she had torn up and was like, oh, wait, no, that freaking happened. So it was just, like, a weird occurrence that happened to her in this house when she was staying there alone. And then, basically, a year later, it was a different house. It was the Cielo Drive in Los Angeles house. I think I said that right. I don't know. But she was there, and Jay Sebring, the guy who owns the Bern-Harlow House, was at her house. There was a party. There was, like, 3 other people there. They were hanging out, and then the Manson family showed up. And basically, the way that Sharon Tate was murdered is very similar to the, like, figure she saw on the stairs. Because basically the way that both her and Jay Sebring were murdered is that, like, they were tied together and their throats were cut. Because it was like they were, like, tied together, like, by their throats, and so the ropes ended up, like, cutting their throats. I'm sorry, Shannon. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, it's literally only medical stuff. This is not medical, so I can handle it. I'm just saying
this
that's
is murdical.
disgusting. Yeah, it's murdical, so I can handle it. I'm just saying generally that's fucking disgusting and terrible.
Yeah. And so so people, because she, like, basically gave an interview in 1968, a year before the murders happened, like, recounting this weird, like, ghost encounter / dream that she had had and, like, what had happened and everything. And so, of course...
So that was I was gonna ask, like, do we know that she actually said this ahead of time, or were later people were like, oh, she said that?
It was in
That's
an
crazy.
Interview. Yeah.
That's nuts that she actually said it.
Yeah. You
know?
And so, August 9th of 1969, because she gave the interview in 1968, let's see, Dick Kleiner was the man who interviewed her. And basically he just, like, generally asked her if she had ever experienced anything supernatural, and she told him about, like, this night.
So weird.
And, like, all that she had happened to her, like, during that night.
That.
Yeah, and so it was, like, basically after her and Jay were murdered, people were like, oh, do you remember that weird interview she gave where she was talking about, like, maybe it was the ghost of Paul Bern, and maybe he was the one who was, like, giving her a premonition of how she was gonna die, and blah, blah, blah. Because remember, she couldn't tell the figure on the stairs whether it was, like, male or female, so people are like, he was showing her either her or Jay, and, like,
God.
all
I
of
have
that.
a question.
Yeah.
You might not know the answer to this, because it's kind of zooming out for the Manson story in general.
Yeah.
Were they specifically targeting Sharon Tate? I can't remember.
No.
I didn't think so. Okay, because my question was, what if they read that interview and then did it because they read the interview?
Yeah.
You know?
As far as I know, they weren't...
I didn't think they weren't targeting. I feel like they were looking for someone else.
No, because this was the first night of the, like, killing spree.
Well, and was she the one who...
They were trying to sort of race
bought
war.
that house?
Yeah, she had, like,
something?
they had, like, just moved in, and they were, like, having their friends over for, like, a housewarming because she was, like, pregnant.
Yeah, and then, so weren't the Mansons, weren't they, like, targeting the previous owners? Is that what it was? They thought that the old owners were still there? Is that what it was?
I think they were just killing rich people because they killed the neighbors, too.
Yeah, and it was, like, the next night, it was, like, a different, like, celebrity family that they
were trying to start
killed.
a race war.
Yeah. Either way, they were specifically targeting Sharon Tate, which solves my problem. So we're good.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So it was, I'm pretty sure they were not targeting her specifically.
I don't think that they were, but I don't know that story, like, I mean, like, I know it, but not as well as I know other ones, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because, like, Roman Polanski was, like, out of town when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I know the Manson story, but I didn't want to, like,
I don't know the
get
details.
super into it here because that's not really what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know the details of it, like, that well, at least not with this. But, like, I thought that they weren't targeting her specifically. But that seems like a fucked up thing that they would do.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if they read that interview and then they were like, oh, if we go after Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
You know.
Because basically it was like her and Jay were tied together, like, in the living room. They were tied together, like, by their necks. So the rope had cut into their necks. But they were, like, ultimately, like, stabbed to death.
Yeah. Ugh, it's horrible.
But, yeah. And so it is basically a lot of people assume that, like, her encounter at the house that night was either Paul Bern or just some ghostly figure in general trying to give her, like, a premonition or a warning about what her fate was going to be. So
why bother doing that? There was literally nothing she could have done.
Exactly. Like yeah.
Like,
so
I mean, it wasn't random, but, like, what the fuck was she supposed... Like, what is the point in telling her that?
Right, and
you know?
I don't know. Or maybe it's because, you know, like, Paul Bern was supposedly maybe murdered, and so he was like, you're gonna be murdered. Maybe I can save you from being murdered, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
But I'm not going to tell you any identifying information
exactly.
about what's going to happen.
I'm also going to make you weirdly find a bar behind a bookcase and peel some wallpaper back, because that's important stuff that you need to do.
Yeah,
it's like The Shining, and it's like the yellow wallpaper and a really bad premonition trip.
How does the
maybe
bar...
you're on drugs? Goodbye.
Right, and so it's like all these things that, like,
factor into it. Like, I don't understand what that has to
well,
do
first
with,
of all,
like...
the bar is behind a bookcase because the house was built during Prohibition.
Yeah.
So that's
sense.
just a thing. That's not important to her murder in any way, and so it's like, I don't... And I think those are just, like, details that were given in the interview, and so they're details that, like, people know about it, and so, but, like, they're not related, and so I don't, whether it's a premonition or not, I don't know.
I'm just judging whatever spirit this was that gave her this premonition on their lack of planning and...
Right, like, get it together.
Support.
If you're gonna tell someone how they're gonna die, you gotta give them at least a little bit more information than that.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know. Maybe that's all you're given in the afterlife is you're gonna have a slit on your throat of some sort. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. But then, like, did that thing show up to the other people who actually died in the house? Or
no.
Was it only her?
As far as I know, like, other people who have, like, been in the house, they say that they, like, experience weird things or, like the
normal haunted house stuff.
Yeah, like normal haunted house stuff where, like, occasionally they'll see a figure or, like, there'll be, like, cold spots or, like, weird noises or whatever, but nothing to this extent. Like,
yeah.
Nothing that was, like, this clear or this, like, spooky.
Terrifying. My haunted house didn't have shit like that.
Right, like, exactly. And so...
Can you imagine if it had? Oh my god, I never would have set foot in that house ever again.
Like... I don't know, it feels like almost, like, too oddly specific to not be tied to it, but at the same time, like...
It's just weird.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I didn't know any of this. That's so fucking weird.
Yeah. And I feel bad that this is going to be so short because that's really all the information that I have. If you want to go to slide 7, those are pictures of the house. Just like another picture of, there's like a rotunda turret thing on like the backside of the house, and then this picture is from I think this other picture is from the inside of the house. It's a little confusing because basically after Jay Sebring's death, his family didn't want the house to go to anybody who was gonna like capitalize on the like notoriety of it or anything. And so they sold it in 1970 to a family, and that same family has owned it ever since. They basically like converted it so it is the main house, and then the carriage house was converted into its own home. As you do with mansions in modern day.
Jeez.
And so, like, the carriage house is, like, off of its own road now. And there's, like, you can find pictures of that on the internet. It's obviously much smaller and, like, not as...
mansion-y.
Not as notorious and all of that. The main house, the actual, like, home, is... They have kept it, like, very private.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Which is why I said, like, don't go there. Like, please don't bother this family. But the pictures that I could find that are maybe from inside the house, it looks very nice, very cottagey, like very whatever. But yeah, this family has owned it since 1970. They've kept it like very private. There's like no pictures, or which like who puts random pictures of their house on the internet?
A lot of people. We have Instagram.
That's true. You are correct. You are correct. But
it happens constantly. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but constantly since like 2010, not since 1970.
No.
And
the way you said it.
I know.
Oh, man.
But yeah, and so apparently they have had problems with like people who are interested in the Manson murders and Sharon Tate and that whole story, like find out about this house as well and her whole story, and they go and visit this house, and like, I don't know, they've like walked out in the morning and found people like taking pictures of their house, and then apparently they like came out one morning and found like a couple who was there because of the like whole Manson murder story, and they were like having sex in their car outside of this people's houses. And,
oh my god!
Like, why would you do that?
What the fuck?
Exactly. And so
there are some people who like true crime like us who are just like, wow, that's really interesting, and let's celebrate the victims' lives, blah blah blah. And then there are some fucking nut jobs like that who are so into like the killers that they literally get off on it.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that like serial killer people scare me.
Right?
You know
like,
what I mean?
I understand that, like, in a sense, we cover, like, true crime things a lot, and, like, therefore we cover, like, murder cases a lot, but, like...
We don't really do it like that, though.
But there's,
you know
like,
what I mean?
There's facets of the true crime community where I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, we don't claim you.
Well, because, like, the only, like, big crime thing we've really done is, like, John Wayne Gacy.
Maybe,
no,
yeah.
we've
like,
done
Gacy,
crimes.
Like, the biggest, I think. And then you did the, those two girls in, like, New Zealand or something.
Oh, yeah. The Anne Rice.
Yeah.
Anne Perry.
Well, I've done a couple missing person cases.
Well, like, major, like, well-known.
The Frog Boys are big in Korea.
They are. But yeah,
I'm
like,
not saying that
like
is a
we've
bad
covered
thing.
some, like, big cases, but, like,
heavy
not
hitters,
in that way.
as they
Yes,
say.
heavy hitters, thank you. Yeah, but we don't... I like to think we don't do that.
I like to
We
think
also
we
don't
try
fawn
to be
over them.
respectful.
No, we don't fawn over them.
Not over the murderers, no.
No,
but there are some people who that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
and
Like, have you ever seen the Tumblrs for the Columbine shooters?
Yes.
Where girls are like, I'm assuming they're girls, are like obsessed with them, like, oh my god, you're so hot, blah blah.
I have
They're
not
so
seen
gross.
that, and I am very
not look them
disappointed
up.
in humanity that is a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
really
will
disappointing.
say the Manson serial killer people are the scariest to me.
Oh, they're crazy.
Because they do shit like this. They fuck each
Yeah,
other
They're
in
so
front of
like
a house.
chaotically crazy. They don't
Yes.
have like a central core belief. They're just
I was gonna say, their moral
crazy.
compass
Yeah.
is, like, off kilter.
And, like, this is just my own experience with this. I feel like not the majority, but the serial killer people we hear about the most are Manson people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's just I don't understand.
Yeah, and
if you are like that, listeners, stop it.
Stop being that way, please.
Stop it.
It's
don't
not
make me put on my teacher voice.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not good at all. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so like
Ugh.
the house is tangentially tied to the Manson murders.
But like not even, and why?
Yeah, it is.
Tangential.
Yeah, it's related to Sharon Tate and possibly her murder, and then like Jay
How
Sebring.
disrespectful.
But yeah, because he was an owner. But like obviously, the house itself, like this specific house, has its own like share of tragedy, and therefore it is considered like a haunted house again because people have experienced some things. And therefore like this house will appear on like lists of haunted houses. However, as far as like haunted houses go, I wouldn't necessarily consider this one. I think there was like one big instance of something.
Yeah.
That
which for all we know, what she saw she would have seen in any house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that could have
Yeah,
happened
there's
in her own
nothing
home.
saying it was Paul Byrne who came and gave her this premonition. There's nothing saying that it even was a premonition. It could have been a fever dream. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
just a very coincidental,
very
yeah,
specifically the same.
Maybe it was
but
some random stroke of psychic powers. Who the hell
right,
knows?
like who knows?
You know,
but,
I don't know. No one knows. Yeah, that's ugh.
But yeah,
I'm just thinking about how much I hate Manson people.
I know, which is why I didn't want to like. I 100% could have made this episode longer and gone into the Manson murders, but I really didn't want that to be the focus, and I don't know that I personally will ever cover that.
I just put that on our no-no list.
Yeah, that's fine. I just kind of inherently...
Because I feel like everyone covers that case and knows enough about it.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to perpetuate anything about Charles Manson because the man's a cuckoo nut case, so...
Yeah, I just kind of, like, inherently put all of them on the no-no list in my head.
Yeah.
Other than Gacy, but even then, I only really did Gacy because I was doing Chicago crimes and because they had just recently DNA, like, matched one of the victims. You know, but, like, most of them...
And it was much more, like, victim-based than, like, Gacy.
Yeah.
But...
I'm not going to cover any of them.
I don't feel the need to, honestly.
I don't feel the need to. Well, like, we pick random shit, so...
Yeah.
We don't
so,
need
like, this is as close...
pick things that aren't ever been heard of. That aren't never had been heard of.
Right, and that's kind of why I picked this one, because I was like, well, it's, like, mildly related, but it's also not.
Yeah. Yeah, you both pick stuff that no one's heard of. I pick stuff that people have heard of, but no one knows, like...
No one knows the real story.
I'm basically copying You're Wrong About, just in my own way.
Yes.
But, yeah.
But, yeah, and I also, like, I do want to say, as far as, like, Paul Byrne goes, I am not saying that Dorothy Millette murdered him in any way, and I hope I didn't imply that, because I don't know. And no one knows.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even Jean Harlow was like, I don't know what this note means. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously she knew about, like, Dorothy Millette because he, like, financially supported her and, like, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
However, she was like, I didn't know they met last night. I don't know. Like...
Well, and did she never implied that she thought it was Dorothy, did she?
She never did.
So...
She never, like, even spoke about it. It was...
Yeah.
Which could have been, like, MGM's doing, and they were like, you don't ever talk about this, blah, 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 because we don't want it to be a scandal on your career, whatever.
Maybe my next episode will be about MGM in the 30s.
Right. But, yeah, so as far as that, like...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just the whole Paul and his other wife situation. It reminds me so much of Jane Eyre and that wife that's in the attic.
Yeah.
You know?
Really does.
Basically, yeah, like he had this common law partner that was in a sanatorium that he financially supported, and first of all, I want to know how she got from a sanatorium in Connecticut all the way out to, like, Beverly Hills.
California. Yeah.
But
wait, did she die? She died in California?
yeah.
Okay. That's so fucking weird.
Yeah, she died 2 days after Paul Bern was found.
In California. That's
yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
So
It is, Jane Eyre is actually a very good allegory for this.
Yeah,
it really
is.
is.
It not?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
hey, I have a crazy wife locked away, and then here's my hot young wife. Like,
Yeah.
Jane Eyre was not hot.
I know. I corrected that in my head.
She was a plain, handsome woman. Okay?
I corrected it
She
in
was
my
a
head right
plain
after I said it.
Jane.
I know. I corrected it in my head right after I said it. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, so as far as, like, with Paul Bern, like, it's pretty much known that Dorothy Millette committed suicide by jumping off of a steamboat. But as far as Paul Bern, it was ruled a suicide, but again, whether evidence was tampered with or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
Because why are you going to tell us that in the 90s when he died in the 30s?
That's not
like, that's not helpful.
I mean, I'm guessing, I'm just going to blame MGM.
Right, there was probably like an NDA of some sort that everyone in the vicinity
I'm just
had
going
to
to blame
sign.
MGM. But who knows?
But yeah, so that is the Bern-Harlow House. That's kind of all I really have for you on that. Another, like, mildly interesting detail that is probably just a coincidence. Jean Harlow died in the house at the age of 26. I mean, she died from kidney failure. But Sharon
Which is
Tate...
still a weird thing to die of at the age of 26.
Well, she was probably an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she was a female celebrity under MGM in the 30s.
Yeah, and also, like, doctors were still prescribing, like, heroin and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, I retract my statement.
I mean, yes, a weird thing to die of at that age, if you don't take into context.
Yes.
But Sharon Tate was also 26 when she died.
I don't see that as that weird.
It's
personally.
it's another thing that is, like, pointed out in all of the articles on this house, because they're like,
we have a whole 27
people.
club.
I know.
Like, it doesn't,
Yeah. But, because mostly it's because both the women are tied to the house and they both died at the same age and blah, blah, blah. You know, people will
30
find...
years apart.
Yeah,
like...
I know. People will find connections where they want to find connections, is how I see that little tidbit.
It's like the Lincoln Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can find commonalities in anything if you're looking hard enough.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
But yeah. I don't know if that was interesting. I hope so. I feel like it's a part of, like, Sharon Tate's story that people don't know, though. So
I didn't know that.
But yeah, so that is the
I mean, like I said, I
Bern-Harlow
don't
House.
know that story that well, but
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't know that part.
I feel like people more focus on the Manson part of it than the victim part of it,
which is part of the problem with true crime. So,
yes, which I understand that it was a cult, and, like, we like to talk about cults, and, you know, I appreciate a good cult story, but that's not a good cult story. That's a bad murder story.
Just a bunch of idiot hippies out in the desert having sex and doing drugs. Like, it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not really that interesting once you get into it. So, anyway, we're not talking about them.
We filled up a lot of time talking about how we're better than other true crime people.
Are we, though?
And we're so much better. But no, we've made, like, similar mistakes in the past, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have.
I'm not saying we're infallible. We're just...
Oh, no, we're super not.
We're just conscious. I feel like we try to be more
conscious of it, and...
I have a horrible fear of being yelled at on the internet, so I pick my topics with care, and I edit the shit out of our episodes if necessary.
Yes.
Redacted, delete, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Out of words.
That's why we dolphin noise out people's names.
Yep. And there have been a couple times where I've just been like, nope, we're going to get yelled at. So I pull out certain sections because I'm like, nope, not doing it.
Yep. Which
we're
is
going to get yelled at.
And even we'll even request afterward, we'll say, Shannon, cut out that entire thing.
Right.
We're going to get yelled at.
We're like, Shannon, I said
illegal.
a stupid
Cut
thing.
it out.
Please take that out.
Yeah.
Shannon,
And a lot of
I'm
the
an
time,
idiot.
I will tell them, hey, this thing that someone said is going to get us yelled at on the internet. So I cut it.
Yes.
So everyone is aware. It's not like, you know.
We try
we're
to
holding each other
realize when we have
accountable.
said stupid things. And
Yeah. We hold each other accountable for
Yes.
shit. It's fine.
yes.
Guys,
Hannah?
it's gonna snow tonight.
Oh, yay. Those were two very different responses.
God, I'm over you.
I love snow. Anyway.
Children
I
of
don't.
Christmas. Oh, also, happy belated Hanukkah.
Yes.
We forgot to say that last time. It's like the end.
We forget to say so many
In our
things.
time. In our
We
time. This is
forgot-
not in the future.
We forgot the entire month of Pride this year.
Oh, fuck, we're still
What the heck?
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
You know what?
I realized
It's
it
December.
in July. I was like, oh, June just ended. Fuck.
Well, you know what? It's
This is what I
everyone's
mean
year.
when I say
Just
we
take the
fuck
whole
up,
year.
like-
Claim it for yourself. Honestly.
Oh, we forgot that. We didn't acknowledge so many different months honoring different people, and
I think we did Black History Month.
we did.
Because
That was it. That's literally the only one we did,
yeah.
which is good. Like, I'm glad we did one.
We're so bad at this, guys.
We're so bad at this,
Anyway,
y'all. Anyway, are we done now?
maybe next year. Okay.
I'll try to be more on top of it next year.
All right. Well, sorry, guys. Our ending is that we have no ending. Long live the
God
Emperor.
save the Emperor. Peace, love,
Goodbye.
Bye.
joy in this holiday season. Goodbye. Oh, fuck, I can't reach the button. Thanks for listening to The Triad. Our music is by Scott Buckley. Our audio is recorded by our sound engineers, Craig Bott and Audrey Credo.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr as The Triad Podcast.
We're also on Patreon as The Triad. Currently, all Patreon funds will go towards the cost of hosting the show. Each tier has its own rewards, but every patron receives our undying gratitude. Do you have comments, questions, or stories? Email us at thetriadpod@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive.